welcome back. It's another time for that episode you all love, the tea break. We got a great one today, going back to how we started this series with our first ever episode, and Ben did his top 10 ever games of sport he's ever watched. We're going to do a Saint specific one, although not best, worst. So yeah, we'll start that very shortly. We're just gonna, we had have a day's play of cricket in this second test, and most likely we're gonna have more than 2 days this time at least. I don't know about you, Ben, but as an England fan myself, that was a quite magnificent first day, purely because of one man finally getting over the line, getting that monkey off his back, and the
Yeah.
celebration was just brilliant as well.
hmm
If you saw it, and for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, all England fans will know the mighty Joseph Edward Root finally getting his Australian Test match century, finally doing it here, and that little shrug of the shoulders when he celebrated it was just brilliant, as if to say, look, what were you worried about? Of course I was going to do it. There's no way I wasn't going to do it.
Uh,
World number one ranked
yeah,
Test batsman for a reason, that's what I'll say.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, we were sort of messaging last night and sort of talking about, and it's probably good for Joe now that it's done. Um, I think I said in our preview a few weeks ago, you wouldn't want that to be hanging on and weighing on his mind for the entire sort of series as each test goes by. So it's probably good not only for him but the group. And as we saw last night, they put on what, finished on 334 as it stands now. But
Yeah.
to get to that point, um, and I was lamenting in our Saints WhatsApp group last night. How the fuck did Root get to what is it, 100 and
38 he
that?
finished.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
130 odd after making his hundred. Like surely the Aussie bowlers have got to knock him over, but clearly they had other things in
Honestly,
mind.
that
Yeah,
partnership, that little partnership at the end between Root and Jofra Archer was just so good. Just so good to watch. And the best part about it was, I don't know if you were paying close attention with the commentary last night, but I think it was Warner and Junior were basically like commenting on the fact that we should have declared and should have put them out to bat under the lights. David Warner specifically was very adamant on the fact that we should have put Australia in under the lights, and they were just constantly criticising our decision and Stokes' decision to take us out and bat there. And it was so funny at the end of the play, half an hour later, when we got to 325 and would be batting again today. Um, their complete change of tone is like, oh, to be fair, that's a good decision now that they put on an extra 60 or so onto it. I mean, it just
yeah,
shows why other teams try baseball, all this trav ball stuff from Optus and all that. Like, it's all well and good. Loads of other teams that try to play that way we play, but it just shows at the end of the day, we are the best at doing it because we're so natural at doing it. And it was just Potts coming out to the middle with about half an hour to go, having a chat to Root and Archer, and then almost immediately after, complete mindset switch to go from test mode to T20 mode, as if it was the most natural thing ever. And that's why we're the best at it, because it's so easy for us to just switch gears, go into it, and just do it flawlessly, like that last half hour showed. I personally enjoyed seeing Boland get smacked for 19 off and over as well. That was a personal highlight of that little like half hour spell at the back end of play
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it'll basically ensure, and this is something we were hoping to have when we did our watch along a couple of weeks ago now, was more time to actually watch the game unfold. And I think we can pretty much say now it's going to go longer than 2 days. So
yeah. Well,
hopefully
I
into
mean,
a day
as an
four or
England
so.
fan, I'd love it if we took 20 Australian wickets today. I really would. I'm not going to complain about that at all.
Yeah, oh definitely. But yeah, look, certainly. I mean, that was good to watch last night, even from when, like, I'm not the most staunch Australian cricket fan, but I mean, I've got more interest in the T20 World Cup coming up in February. That's how much I sort of care about the series. Yeah, I'll go to a day or two of the Boxing Day test, as you already know, but
Yeah,
my focus is a little bit broader in terms of yeah, it goes beyond this series, I suppose. But I want to see a competitive series too. I don't want to see 2 day tests. I want to see into 4, even God willing 5 days. So
could you imagine?
yeah, well, we might even get that. But I mean, the other side of the episode today is about the six worst Saints game I've been to over time,
Yeah,
and I think I've got a pretty good list compiled. So
yeah.
um, yeah, there's some certainly a couple that you might already be aware of, but there's some that you may not. So
I think that's a perfect way to segue into the main piece of today's episode. Just to give we just we're just going to do a quick touch on yesterday. Just also, mate, I'm not only going to talk about Root and Archer at the end of the innings. I just thought in general England batted a lot better yesterday than what we did at Optus. We showed a lot more restraint. Yes, we threw away wickets. We've seriously got to stop chasing those wide fifth stump line balls from Mitchell Stark. Like, he's got 16 wickets this season. I'm not taking this series. Sorry, I'm not taking anything away from how good he's been, but he would have far less if we didn't literally give him the opportunity to take them
mm.
by just literally throwing the bat at those balls he's tempting us with. So if we can just continue to tighten that up a little bit, England, we'll start to really knuckle down. But yeah, like, I can't complain. We got past 300 in the end. We're in a good position. We don't know what this pitch is like, though. Let's just see what Australia do when they go out to bat, and hopefully we bowl well at them like we did in that first innings in Perth. But yeah, so yeah. But on to the main meat of this episode, as it were. Mr. Benjamin over here is going to take us through, as an avid Saints fan that he is, the 6 worst games he's ever had the pleasure of watching live at the stadium in the history of his time supporting that club. Um, I mean, yeah, look, because of all anyone who watches this podcast, if you're more AFL fan than if you're AFL fan and you know more about the AFL, I don't obviously, but I know enough to know that Saints are, not only a banter club, but they're not particularly amazing as far as the history goes. I mean, what is it? You've got 27 wooden spoons or something. It's a record, right?
Yes, yeah. I'd like to think since our friendship, your education on the club has actually broadened quite a bit thanks to me. So
Yeah.
which is good. So I mean, some of the little bits and pieces I'll sort of go through. You'll already be aware of through me anyway. So,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to kick this off, man. So
Yeah.
yep.
We're going to get some good old detail here, people, so just buckle in, it's going to be a good one. So yeah, where are we at? Number 6. Start us off, man.
Number 6. Now this game goes back to 2001. And it's actually it's not memorable for too many reasons, but I guess it is for a couple. For any Saints fans that do watch this podcast, you'll know exactly what I mean. So 2001, so Friday the 13th of July to be exact.
Couldn't be a bad day, could it?
known as Colonial Stadium at that time, a company that no longer exists, and it's had a few different name changes over the years, that stadium, but pretty sort of resonates with me quite a bit. It was actually a Friday night, the night before my 18th birthday. So had some mates. We had dinner and we went in and watched the game. I'm kind of wishing, given the result, and I've just got the stats up here, that I was actually doing anything else except for being in the stadium that night. So we played Adelaide, and Adelaide had won the premiership a few years
Wait,
earlier.
Crows or Port Adelaide? I mean, it's not relevant.
Adelaide,
Okay,
yeah,
Crows.
Adelaide Crows. Sorry, yeah, they won the flag a few years back, and they actually beat us by 97 points in this one. So, uh, yeah, so 156 to 59. So, but it's actually, yeah. So the margin was quite flattering, but it was actually the very first game for champion Nick Revolt, his very first game. But it was, yeah, not a massive debut, but by the end of that season, he actually showed quite a bit of promise, and we were actually on quite a big losing streak back then, and ended up winning the very last game of the season by, I think, a point after the siren. Um, Barry Hall, who I think we've talked about on this podcast previously, I probably have, kicked the winning goal, and then the next season he was
I know
traded
full
to
well
Sydney.
from a video you showed me how much you hate him now, but yeah.
Yes. But the other two factors is a guy who's actually in this list later on, played in this game as well. I won't mention his name because you already know who I'm talking about, Chester, but we'll get to that.
Well, maybe I can make a guess, but yeah.
Possibly. But the other interesting point is the Saints coach at the time was a guy by the name of Malcolm Blight, and he actually was the Adelaide Crows premiership coach of 97-98, right? He got sacked the Tuesday after this game. That's just made major news because we had a shit year up to this point, and that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, losing this game. But sitting up on the top deck, I think behind the goals from memory, and just downing drink after drink after drink, trying to forget is basically this night. So that's number six for me. But it was not memorable for a number of different reasons. But Revolt's debut, and we know that. Well, I know the player that he grew to be, and you sort of have a bit of a background on that now through me, as I said. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's six.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean it's not the heaviest start, people. There's five more to come, and they're going to get a lot worse. I can assure you of that. But yeah, that's not. I will say without spoiling too much, and I don't know the list, obviously, disclaimer, people. But I'm going to make a solid guess and say that's not quite the heaviest defeat that's going to feature in this list. I'm just
No,
going to put it out there. I have a feeling there's one other game because what you've told me about before that's probably going to feature in this list. Either next or further along. Let's see.
well, there is
Yeah.
one, and it actually is next. So I've got this one at
Oh,
number
okay.
five.
Yeah.
It sort of ties in. It ties into to number four actually. So,
Yeah.
but
So what's
yeah,
number
so
five?
number five. So Saints went down to Geelong the very next year, so 2002. Um, the Saints actually did beat Geelong in '99, and as it stands, it's actually the last time they've actually won down there. And again, I think that's something I've mentioned to you in passing before, but it still
Yeah.
stands. A curse we just cannot beat. You
You're
hear.
going there again this next year, you said, aren't
Yeah,
you?
that's right. I don't know when. Well, I know sort of it's going to be sort of mid-year, but not sure what
You're
time.
extend
But yeah,
you extended your membership to all games in Victoria, so
hmm I'm a glutton for
maybe.
punishment, folks. Yeah, so could I live in hope every year? Could that year be the year? But um, so yeah, 2002, we go down there. I think it's round four from memory, and we got absolutely belted by 120 points. Um,
There it is.
yeah, there it is.
That's
That's
the
the
one I was
one.
talking about.
I thought you might be. So I'm standing on the terraces out at Cardinia Park, as it's known. Um, Not to be confused with the spelling of Cardinia out in sort of Cranbourne way. It's Cardinia with a K. So, um, but yeah, we got flogged. We got beaten really badly by a pretty decent Geelong side at that time. And they've been solid for decades now, on and off. But yeah, just a game to forget. And I'll just bring up the stats here to see if there's anything.
What was
Well,
the score in the end?
let me have a look.
What was the score in the end,
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
say?
yeah. No, I'm just about to bring it up now. Um, So that was so yeah, Geelong by 122, so 166 to 44. So Sunday,
With
10th
my
of
limited
10th
knowledge
of
of
April
AFL, even that
2002,
sounds ridiculous.
and it was pretty ordinary. I mean, yeah, they had some quality players in that side, um, and yeah, we had some pretty good ones as well. So Revolt played that day. Troy Schwarzer, I think, was in my best 5 or 6 games a few weeks ago as one. He was in there. Nick Del Santo was in there.
Was the pitch invasion guy himself in there?
Fraser Gehrig, he was in the first one, but not in this one. That was actually his first year
Oh,
at the club, but he was playing in defence, so he wasn't kicking 100 goals in a season during that time. So he must have been injured from memory. So yeah. So look, the less said about this one, the better. We were absolutely had our backsides handed to us on a silver
well, I
platter that
mean,
day.
we are only 14 minutes now, 14 minutes into a video which is specifically designed for you going through your six worst games. So, go talk about it, is what I say.
Well, what's really to talk about? I mean, sort of quarter by quarter breakdown. We were down by 4 goals at quarter time, down by 10 goals at half time, 97 points down at three-quarter time, and finished the game by 122. And all I was thinking about was just getting on the V line train back to Melbourne. But to be fair, the last couple of games that we've played down there that I've been to have actually been better. I think we lost by 5 goals in the game this year, and the year before was, I think, 8 points or something like that. So we've had some pretty close encounters over the years, and we actually do play. We've actually beaten them at Marvel like the last 3 years or so. So they're beatable. But the ground, and you'll know this, Chester, from the Big Bash games that the Renegades play down there. It's a very skiddy ground on the wings. Um, so it's really hard for opposition teams to sort of get that wing play, like in football. If you haven't got sort of long wings or sort of wide wings, it's hard to use that wing play, and that's what opposition teams, not just us, struggle with against them, and that's why they're such a dominant side down at Geelong.
Aye, fair enough. For those AFL fans who are watching this episode, you'll understand a lot more about that passage of what Ben was
Um,
just talking
I'm
about.
also I'm also hoping the Renegades don't make it a permanent home. I'll just put that out there now, because you'll lose three-quarters of your fan base if you leave Marvel Stadium. So yeah,
Yeah.
um,
So yeah, in at six, a heavy defeat to Adelaide. In at five, another heavy defeat to Geelong. What's in at four?
what's in it for? Well, this as I said, this ties in pretty well to what we were talking about with that particular round, because the following week is the next game. So round five.
I mean, it's so good. I mean, if nothing typically like showcases what it's like being a Saints fan, but then when we're doing a video of the six worst games you've been to, two of the games in that list are in the
For,
same,
for,
are literally in consecutive weeks.
for different reasons, because as I said,
Yeah,
it's if we were talking about overall games where I haven't been there live, it would be different. But I sort of wanted to pick a couple that were just bizarre for different reasons, and this one was one of them. So we got thrashed the week before up by 120 points.
yeah,
Really sort of young side. You know, Del Santo I think was in his third or fourth game. Revolt was in his second season. We had um, a few there that were still finding their feet. Anyway, so we come up against Sydney back at Docklands, and the talk of that week was, what are we going to do? How are we going to bounce back? They called this game like the I guess the Uber or Super Flood game, because the Sydney Swans coach had this sort of tactic of flooding, like parking the bus basically. So what had basically happened by the end of the night, and I'm just bringing up the
no, it's possible to park the bus in AFL, but okay.
this game was, and I'll
Okay.
yeah, and by the time I reveal the result, you'll understand why, and the score as well. So this one I'm happy to break down in a bit more detail, because it was actually quite fascinating for different
Yeah.
reasons. So Saints versus Sydney. So it was actually a drawn game at 8:56 at the end of the night, but quarter by quarter breakdown. Saints up by 12 at quarter time. Saints by four, and it was 14-10 at half time. Right.
That's
That,
low.
that's a half time score. And this is an AFL.
Such a low
This is
scoring
an
game.
AFLW, folks. It's AFL men's, right? Um, so yeah, 14 plays 10 at half time. 35-18 at three-quarter time, so we're up by 17. And then yeah, Swans fought back in the last probably 5 minutes or so, and
Hang on, just rewind a bit. 14-10.
mm,
How many like goals is that?
three for both sides, so three between both sides.
The fuck? And
Yeah,
half time's what? How many minutes is half time?
about 15, 20.
No, no, as in like how many minutes like into the game
Oh,
for half
an
time?
hour,
Yeah.
like an hour, like 30 minute, two
So,
30 minute quarters. Yeah.
so an hour of play
Mhm.
basically,
Yep.
and there was only three goals from either
Uh
side
huh.
in an hour of play. That is
Yeah.
ridiculous. I don't know much about this sport, as I say on multiple occasions, people, but even I know that is like ridiculously low. Like,
You see what I mean? It was crazy, and still to this day considered one of the worst games to sort of sit through. And there's
did
actually
you fall? Were you trying to stay awake at times in this
no,
one?
no, no, not at all. But there's highlights of it on YouTube, and I think I've shown you these before. Of like the last 5 minutes, which is ironically the most exciting part of the entire night.
Yeah,
I don't think I could sit through the entire game again, having been there back in the day. But yeah, so some really interesting things to point out. So yeah, Fraser Gehrig wasn't there. Nick Revolt played. He had a really good night. Stephen Milne, his second season, he got picked up off the rookie list. But the guy I want to highlight here, and you've heard me mention this guy Chester before,
yeah.
is a guy by the name of Daniel Wolf. Um,
It's this game.
Hmm.
This is the one, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't have a list like this, mate, without having
I'm
you.
not going to
Yeah,
spoil it, people, but I've seen the
no.
clip of what he's about to talk about,
Hmm.
and those of you who haven't seen the clip, watch it if you
Go,
can,
go
because
and go and watch it. Yeah.
I mean, again, even if you don't understand AFL really
In
like I
fact,
do, like
in fact,
you can still watch it and be like, huh? Like without giving too much away. The floor is yours, Ben.
well, I'm actually just uh that's image. That's not what I'm looking for. I was actually going to bring it up on my monitor. I mean, we won't be able to see it, but yeah, just to sort of reminisce as to what happened. But anyway, so Swans are up by a point and they've got the ball in in their back line. They're kicking it out. Swans player kicks it across and turns it over. Daniel Wolf is running forward with the flight, takes the mark and intercepts. Now he has two options. He can sort of run in and kick the goal and put his side in front. He can go back and take a set shot on goal. And Chester, you've seen this. What you know
Yeah.
before you saw the actual highlight, what do you think he would have done before you saw it?
Well, the position he was in, from my limited understanding, the position he's in, I thought just surely professional players going to score from there, right? That's what I thought. Like, because there's no, I don't know, like how common it is in AFL for a player to run through on the goals and have another player alongside them, like in football. And you know, in football, how they would square the ball to someone for a tap in. I don't know how common it is in AFL that a player's going to somewhat square the balls to another player who's going to basically tap it in on the line. But I still thought from what I was watching when you showed me the highlights of this particular moment
Yeah,
that the shot on goal was probably the best option from my
it
understanding.
actually wasn't so much. So I'm actually looking at it. I've got it on mute, but I'm actually watching it back as I speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, third takes a mark, goes out to the wing, and yeah, you could probably go down the wing at this stage. Um,
Well, I
it,
can't remember. Was there another player that he kind of had in support as well? Or was
um,
it literally just him?
the ball's about to come across. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
Uh, you're not really no, but yeah. So he's just taken the yeah. I'm gonna just rewind it back a little bit. Here we go.
So it
So
sounds like we're about to do. It sounds like we're doing some
yeah,
DRS
so
stuff
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. So
Right back,
yeah.
rock and roll it. Right back.
Well, I'm rocking. Yeah, I'm rocking. I can't do slow mo, unfortunately. That'd be
Yeah.
great. But um, yeah. So ball comes back in, and there is actually a spare player who's sort of within close proximity, but not enough to kick it across to get a better shot on goal. That's the
Okay.
problem. So yeah, ball comes across, and he's sort of yeah. It's literally like a 15-meter kick. He takes 4 steps before he hits the check side kick and smacks it into the post. So yeah, so that's basically. I and the people that I was with that night were in complete disbelief. Um,
So basically, he
you
was
know,
about how many meters out? Maybe like 5 to 10 meters out when
I'd
he
say
took the shot.
I'd say 10 to 15,
10 to 15.
maybe
Okay,
12 to yeah
still
10 to 12. Yeah,
professional AFL player. It's not
and
exactly
the angle wasn't that
a
bad. Yeah,
difficult chance. Like
yeah. So so that happened, and yeah, so
so,
that
basically, for those who
20
just
plus
missed
years
it, because
ago
he kind
now.
of so yeah, basically what happened, I'll quickly reiterate people, is this guy goes for on goal, basically, he's got the ball in his hands, all he has to do to kick it and you draw, right? Or
No,
I can't remember.
it's a go. If he kicks a goal, we're in front. So he hits the
And
post,
there's
and
only
it's a
like
draw.
and
Um,
there's only like it's almost last kick of the game, right?
Yeah, and the thing to point out, which makes it even worse, and I don't think I've told you this either. Back in the day, Channel 10 had the rights for broadcast, and they
Yeah.
have like a red time clock. So the clock went up like they have in the ground, so you don't actually know how long's left. They don't do
Oh,
that
so when
anymore.
you were
But yeah,
watching Oh,
yeah,
so back then, because this is 2002,
yeah.
correct?
Even if you're
Yeah.
watching it on TV, you wouldn't know how long was left. That was the yeah.
So when you were at the ground watching it, you didn't even know how long was left, basically.
Yeah, but which no, which was normal. But yeah, so
Oh,
that's even the case now. We don't have the app's got a countdown timer, but we don't have one at the ground still. But the TV viewers would, because of that feature, didn't know how long was left either.
or
They just
even
yeah,
when you were watching games on TV back
correct.
then,
Yeah,
they still.
this
Oh, okay.
particular one, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, so to reiterate, basically, this guy, like, almost last kick of the game, he has to score to win. He's about, as Ben said, 10, 15 meters out or so. He's a
could have gone
professional
back and
AFL
taken
player.
the set shot.
For
Yeah,
those of you who are watching who aren't AFL fans and more football fans, I'll break it down in the simplest way. Imagine centre forward's gone for on goal, almost last kick of the game. He's past the goalkeeper, who's, let's say they've come up for a corner. Open goal. He's got the ball at his feet inside the penalty box. He's literally got a gaping open goal in front of him. Last kick of the game when he's hit the fucking post. That's basically
pretty
the
much.
same to
Yeah,
sum it up. This dude's got
yeah,
basically the ball and arguably more control because he's literally holding the ball in his hands. In football, if the ball's on the ground, sometimes it's not as in control because it's still moving in front of you.
yeah,
This dude's literally got the ball in his hands.
yeah.
It's as easy as possible to literally just let it go and just like let it kick it and let it just
And
roll across the line,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. And instead of that, he goes for it's like someone trying to curl a ball, a free kick in after he's already beaten the keeper. That's basically
Yeah,
what it was. He could have gone back and taken a drop punt.
yeah.
He could have drop punted it, but no, he decides to go for the check side kick. And apologies, Daniel Wolf. I think I do follow you on Facebook. Apologies to bring that up, but it was such a chaotic moment that I had to include it in this list of
Yeah,
live
he
games.
basically just
Yeah,
hit the post from like 10 or so meters out when the ball's in full
yeah,
control. It's
yeah.
just when you watch the clip if you can, people, because it is just
It has to be
hilarious to
seen to
watch.
be
Even
believed.
if you
Yeah,
don't understand the sport at all, it's just still hilarious because you're just basically seeing a guy from point blank range
mm,
somehow miss a gaping target.
yeah,
Basically, it's
exactly. But
ridiculous.
that one was just chaotic for different reasons. But number three is quite interesting, and that's actually going further back.
Well,
Um,
I was just
yeah,
gonna ask one more thing.
mm,
As a player in total, like as a whole, as a player in his career for you, was he actually a good player? This guy.
he wasn't. He actually wasn't too bad. In fact, I'm going to bring up his stats. So yeah, 476 most games played, 348 most goals kicked. He only played 30 games in his career. He had those 3 seasons, so 01, 02, 03. And actually wasn't bad. He had a few, 17 goals in his career. He actually kicked his highest of 11 in that season. So he was, yeah, pretty serviceable. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, that was for the game. That was pretty dull, and the reason it's in there as one of his worst is simply because he witnessed his team produce one of the worst misses in AFL history.
And I'll just point out,
Arguably, maybe.
I'll just point out finally that particular game, nobody expected us to win. I think the guy on Stephen Quartermain, who's a well-known commentator, he was on Channel 10 News the night before doing his tips. I think he tipped Sydney to win by 100 that night. That's how confident he was that Sydney were going to win.
Well, because
So
you've been beaten by 120 the
yeah,
week before. Yeah,
correct.
I could see
Yeah,
why.
exactly. So yeah, but number three is a game that I've curated because it's actually really interesting. Nothing weird happened in this game except for the fact that it was a game that we were probably expected to win and didn't. Um, so it's going back to 1995, and I was at this game
Oh,
as a
this must have been one of your first games you ever
yeah
seen. Then. Wow.
one of the one of the handful of games I saw live. But I went with my grandfather out to Waverley Park, so um,
That's so long ago, people.
yeah,
They were still playing in Waverley Park back then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So 1995, St Kilda versus Fitzroy, and I think it was
Oh my God! Even
yeah,
more to show how old it is.
yeah.
You were playing Fitzroy.
I've handpicked this list, mate. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Um, I knew the task at hand, and yeah, it's like with any of these other lists, I'll try and make them good for different reasons. And
Yeah.
let me just see if I can bring up the set. There's no footage of this game, thankfully. So
I mean,
uh,
you would have been about 12 or so
yeah,
then, right?
hmm
Yeah. Yeah.
here we go. So 6th of May 1995. Yeah, so Fitzroy ended up winning this game by 11 points, and it's crazy for different reasons. So no, first one I'll just mention if I go down here. I just thought he might have been. So the current Saints coach, Ross Lyon, he did play for Fitzroy. He was at Brisbane this year, but he actually is their current coach. So he wasn't playing in this game, but he had played I think against the Saints the year before. So anyway, that's a random fact. I'll
Yeah.
get yeah, but the weird thing is that this is only one of two games Fitzroy won for the entire season, and that's why I've picked this particular game because we were again we were expected to win this game. I don't know how comfortably.
I remember like were you decent in '95 or like kind of
No,
what?
no, and I'll tell you why.
Oh,
There's method to this madness. I'm going to bring up another bit of stat to explain it, which I haven't even mentioned to you yet. So this will be good. Let me see if I can find this
yeah.
particular game because this is crazy. This is how how weird this year was for us. And this is, I might also point out this was the year before we won the preseason cup in '96, by the way, and you know,
We
so
don't need to talk about that. I'm sorry, like
we
people
don't
listen to
we
all that kind
don't
of stuff, but
we don't
Ben knows
and
I
I
have
won't.
my issues with them doing a pitch invasion to celebrate winning a fucking preseason tournament. But yeah,
Yeah,
continue with this
yeah,
game.
yeah. So the weird part about it was one of two games that Fitzroy won for the entire season. However, 4 weeks later, in round nine, we played Carlton, who won the premiership that year. They
Mm.
lost, I think, two games, one or two games for the entire season. One of them was against us by 56 points. Yeah, swings and roundabouts, eh?
Yeah,
That's footy.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I thought I'd just throw that in there as to the craziness of 90s footy. You can lose to the basically the bottom side as it was, who only win another game for the whole season, and then beat the
I'm I'm just
eventual
gonna
the
put something out
unbeatables almost. Yeah.
there to show my memory because
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you told me this before and I saw it something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think '95. That must. You just said they won the Premiership in '95,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
Carlton. That's the last time they won it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I do remember.
Yeah.
I remember looking at those, and I remember the stuff you told me. Yeah, 97% visual memory recall, people.
Ha ha ha.
Not an AFL fan, just good memory.
Mm. No, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's the
Because I
last.
remember
Yeah,
because you said other than you, they're the team who have the longest drought at the moment between
yeah, because that was
premierships.
their 30 years. That's their last win, and
Yeah.
I do have some Carlton mates. I do, that I do hope they break it, but not before my team. Sorry, that's we're next in the line. So
Could you imagine next year a grand final Saints versus Carlton?
well, that won't happen. Um, even my own logic says that won't happen as much as I'd love to.
Yeah.
But I've already said to you and I've said to family and friends when it eventually happens, you won't see me for a couple of weeks. And hey, I might even storm. There might even be a pitch invasion. Yeah, you
Yeah.
never
An
know.
actual deserved one this time.
but
But anyway,
yeah,
continue.
but yeah, that was just the weirdness of that particular season. And look, we had some really young kids coming through, and I think that probably shows in the results of that year. But getting back to that original game, just going through some of this, yeah. So yeah, Fitzroy ended up winning by 11, so 84-73. So there were 13 goals kicked by half time between both sides, not three like the previous game.
Yeah.
Um, it's obviously 7 years later, but still counts. Yeah, so some interesting. Yeah. So
What I want to know is
yeah,
why is this been put down as the third worst game you've ever seen
because I was
for
there and
Saints?
as a 12-year-old didn't expect for the bottom side, who was my second team, by the way. Everyone loved Troy.
I thought they were
Um,
your rivals.
oh, they sort of, well, they were. We both played games out of the Junction Oval
Hmm.
back in the day. That was one of Fitzroy's many home grounds over the journey. But they were our rivals, but they were battlers like we were. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, very working class, that sort of thing. But they
Yeah.
they had more bigger financial issues than us, which is why they had to merge in '96 the year after. And while we're still in the competition, but they're a foundation club just like we were back when the VFL first started back in 1897 as well.
Yeah.
Um, you might enjoy this. So there's actually there were random games in 1996 where the eight traditional, I think it was eight traditional sides dressed up in traditional jumpers and played each other. There's highlights of YouTube on it as well.
Oh, so
Um,
you're one of those
mm,
eight, aren't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we played Collingwood that night, so it
Nice. Did
looks,
you win?
yeah, we did actually, yeah,
Oh,
which was
okay.
good. So
That's not on
um,
this list, people,
yeah,
but I'm guessing
yeah,
he was at that game as well.
I was. It was yeah. But the final two are pretty self-explanatory for obvious reasons. But just to sort of, I guess, unless you've got any other questions about this one, that's
No,
why
I
I've
was
got.
just wondering, like, what, like, because that's a Waverley Park one, so that's going way back. That
Mm,
is, so we're not talking Docklands here anymore. We're talking like proper more rural ground. I can't quite remember where Waverley Park is off the top of my head, but
um, like Mulgrave,
is it
yeah,
near? Oh, Mulgrave. Okay, it's a lot
mm,
further away than I was about to say.
yeah.
How? Wait, I don't get that. Why on earth is your home ground out in Mulgrave back then? That's nowhere near St Kilda.
Well, Moorabbin was nowhere near St Kilda, but it was
Yeah,
closer.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, good
Um,
point.
basically money. Like the Moorabbin ground was pretty run down by that point. I did go to the last ever game there, which was against Fitzroy as well, which was kind of cool. So, yeah,
Yeah.
just economics really. So, and then
I
the
mean, which ground did you prefer? I mean, you've only been to one game at Moorabbin, I guess.
no,
You was you
I went to a few as a kid, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. Which one do I prefer?
yeah. Waverley Park or
Uh,
Moorabbin? Which
now
one
that
did you
I'm
prefer?
older, definitely Moorabbin, but Waverley was cool. Like they had, I think I told you that was the same game the lights went out the following year, and you got people ripping out the point posts and walking them
Were you at
around.
that
And
one as well? The
no,
one
no,
when
no,
the
no,
lights
no,
went
I
out?
wasn't. No, would have been cool, but yeah, as a youngster, no, I wasn't. So,
Oh, okay.
and I had to replay the end of that game on the Tuesday night, and we
Wait,
lost
did
that
you
game.
have a membership back then?
No,
Oh yeah, you didn't have a
no,
membership.
that 2002 was my first year of membership.
Oh yeah,
Um, but the ironic thing of that in 2000 we only won two games for the whole year, so that sort of ties into that nicely. And I didn't pick any of those games either, for obvious
yeah.
reasons. Anyway,
There's too
so
many to pick
yeah,
from.
so
Yeah,
I'd say probably Moorabbin for the old school feel. It's like looking at the '92 like football league grounds. Every
yeah.
team's got their own stadium. That's what it was
Or
like
the
back
old,
then.
or the old, or when you went to any Morwell games,
Mm,
Falcons
hmm
games. For those of you, I don't know if we ever said people, but for those of you who aren't aware, he did have a team in the old NSL, and it was Eastern Pride, Morwell Falcons, call them whatever you want. They got about 50 different names, didn't
Not so much 50, but
they?
I don't think I'd be able to do a list of all the the five best games I've been to from that competition because I only went to one.
Well,
I've
at
been,
least you
no,
have
no,
a
so I've
resume.
been to a few, but they didn't really get any wins, so
Yeah.
that was the problem. But but there's going to be I think we've got some future episodes coming up, do we not? Where we're going to go through some different lists, and they do feature heavily in that.
Yeah.
So, um, but anyway, yeah. So that's number three. So we're getting down to number two, right? So
Top two people, and I wonder what they're going to be. As many, I'm guessing that you're in alignment with most Saints fans for the top two worst games, considering if they've been to the same games live. I'm pretty sure there's an alignment here with the top two,
yeah,
but
I think
let's see.
yeah, I think you'll find most Saints supporters would probably pick these two as the worst
Yeah,
games to attend in person, just because of what was at stake really and what it could have meant for the club.
yeah,
So the second spot goes to the 2010 Grand Final replay, which no
yeah,
longer exists against Collingwood. And I'm not going to bring up the stats because I was there. I know exactly what happened. So
yeah. I mean, you were at both,
yeah,
obviously, because we've talked about the first leg, but the first
yeah,
game we've spoken already about in the previous episode, because that was a good game,
the draw,
and but
yes.
up until the very end of it, that was a good game, I guess, for you. But um,
Yeah.
specifically for the worst one, the replay is obviously going to get thrown in there, and tell us why.
Because yeah, we've talked about the history of the club, and it was an opportunity to win the first premiership since 1966.
And I'm guessing you went into the game with a little bit of belief and promise, knowing of that fact that you at least got the draw out of the first game, right?
Well, the common sort of myth is a lot of people have said, and even neutrals have said, if the game was played in extra time like it should have been, and
Yeah,
not a replay as laws dictate, we probably would have won because we had the fitness and we had the run and the momentum, and
yeah,
we lost the following week.
yeah.
So I'm not going to bring
And
up
it
the
was,
stats because I'll probably
yeah,
start crying. So
yeah. Through your memory of being at the game,
mm,
what happened?
just Collingwood were too strong and had fresher legs, and We spent our tickets in the first week, and rightly so. You know, we'd been to war the following the previous Saturday, and we had nothing left to give, and rightly so. I think most sides now, if that replay rule was still in existence, you'd empty everything in the tank, right? So yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
yeah,
But
um,
yeah, so like the game itself that I'm talking about obviously seems
mm,
there. This is we're meant you're going to be going through these obviously.
yeah,
Do, like
mm, yeah,
looking back on it,
yeah.
do you just think like from was it in your opinion like the way you started the game was it just like instantly you kind of knew you weren't going to win or
We were
was it more
actually
the game?
no, we I think from memory we were actually in it fairly close, and then just fell away, and different things happened to sort of.
What was the score in the end?
Okay, I didn't want to do it, but I'll
Well, I mean, we're going through the worst games. You're gonna have to get through. You're gonna have to bring up some
face
details of
face
some of them.
face my demons, huh?
Yeah,
Um,
clearly, people, we can tell. You can tell that Ben has erased this game from his memory because he can't
the
remember the
only
score.
the only thing I remember is I did go home and have a Indian takeaway that night,
Yeah,
to sort of mask the depression. So, um, and I think
didn't go drinking with your mates.
no, the worst part was a guy who played in the year before. He was actually traded to Collingwood the year after, so he actually won the flag with them when he couldn't the year before. So anyway, um, yeah, they won by 56 points. So um, we kicked 2 points in the first quarter, one goal late in the second, 4-9, 33 by three-quarter time. So the game was done. Like we were
Mm.
less than 5 goals down. They would get 27 points by half time. So really, still with an opportunity, but we just couldn't convert. Like one goal, eight from 9 shots at half time is just not good enough.
And if only you'd known that that would be the last time up until now that your team would play in a grand final,
Yes, indeed.
eh?
And I'm hopeful that that changes reasonably soon. Because I'm in my early 40s now, and I've had to see, and as an MCC member, I've gone and witnessed other clubs win, and some of them have had dynasties. Yeah, Brisbane,
Oh, true.
Hawthorn
Not
as
last
well.
year, but the year. Not last year, but the year before you went, didn't you?
I did, yes.
To the final, yeah.
I've been to a few neutral ones, and um, I just want to see my team win one. I think the consensus among Saints fans is we just want one, so we
I
can
mean,
so
obviously.
we can have a legitimate pitch invasion. And I've already said if I get on the news outside the ground, you know,
Or on the ground.
I'll be
Or
take,
on the
I'll be
ground.
taking receipts. So
But let's make no mistake about it. If you actually make a grand final and you actually win, there's no doubt about it. You're going to be one of the first people on that pitch
they
at
can't
the MCG.
they can't stop us all. You know, in UK football where they say to people, you know, don't go on the pitch. That's they can't stop all of us. So that actually
You're literally going to be like, I can imagine like when that eventually happens, like you're literally going to be like on your like in the last couple of minutes, if you know you're right ahead and it's just a matter of time until the whistle blows and you win, you're probably going to be right on the fence at the MCG, basically waiting eagerly to jump it to run on.
um, they don't sort of normally let you do that, but
Oh, okay,
like I
fair
said,
enough.
they can't stop us all. But when Fitzroy actually played their last Melbourne game at the end of '96, that's actually what happened. So and
Oh,
rightly,
okay.
yeah, they all still and rightly so. So
Hmm.
time and a place, but
Yeah, but that's a
yeah,
legitimate pitch invasion. There's a reason for that.
hmm
That was their last ever game.
yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, like I said,
wasn't a
yeah,
pre-season
like
cup.
no, well, we didn't have much. That was our first piece of silverware since '66. So
Yeah, but it's not
that is a
legit. It's
I
pre-season.
think
No
it's
one
legit.
counts. God, what are you? You should be a Tottenham fan if you're counting pre-season stuff.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Spurs fans. I know you beat us in the Europa League final last year and did actually win something legit, but still.
So if I was to say to you that we won one of our games in Shanghai, China, which we didn't, would that count as a legitimate celebration? I think so, but
It's just
yeah.
winning a
Um,
game away from like in a different
or
country. It's
Wellington
like
at the Cape
if
Town, you
United
know.
if United played a game in America for some weird like let's just say United played a Premier League game in America and we won.
Mm,
There's no reason to do a pitch invasion. It's just a win.
mm,
Like, but anyway,
yeah. Um,
So yeah,
so that happened, and it's been erased from my memory. I do have one honourable mention that I'm going to mention before we
yeah,
get to number one. I was going to put this in my list, but the story of it is quite funny now that I look back. Um, it was a St Kilda Carlton Monday night game at Docklands, and I think it was one of the first and only times that I've actually sat in the prestigious Medallion Club.
yeah.
I went with some old work colleagues, um, and we actually lost that night pretty close, but it was quite funny because my work colleagues were pissing themselves laughing because by the end of the night I'd engaged in some you'd probably say banter, or I was being rizzed by a 12-year-old kid, Carlton supporter,
Okay.
who was getting stuck into me because they were winning, and I, let's just say, I wasn't handling it too well at the time. So I've mellowed quite a lot in my older age these days, but yeah, footy does that to your stress levels, right? So yeah, so that
Yeah,
was that yeah
exactly.
yeah so that was an honourable mention, and there's probably others, but um, number one, we're there. We finally made it after all that.
We're there, everyone. We're there, everyone. Number one, the worst game that Ben, according to himself, of course, has ever gone and watched as a Saints fan. A Saints game, worst Saints game that he's ever. I really butchered that. Fuck that up. What is your number one, Ben? I mean, I think for most Saints fans, any who are watching this podcast, it probably seems self-explanatory, and I have a rough idea of what it might be. And before you reveal it, I have an inkling that it's not 2010, but possibly 2009. We're talking here.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, that's my guess. Yeah,
Yeah, well, you're absolutely correct. It is
yeah,
that game.
obviously it is. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, and I mean, through me, you've got probably a little bit of a background as to what happened with this game and
Yeah,
the build up and whatnot. So, but I mean, I'll unpack it again, just
yeah.
because I like trauma dumping on this podcast. It makes me feel fantastic. So,
Hey, look, like think about the players who played in that game, like Nick Revolt himself,
yeah,
right, and among the others that you've mentioned before.
yeah.
Imagine in the press how many times they've had to recount this game, and they played in it,
Mhm.
right?
There's actually a documentary of it. I think it was
Oh,
for the 2010 one, the draw. Actually, there is.
oh,
Where they talk about this particular game as well. So yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those who don't know what he's talking about, I will put it out there. I'm pretty sure you're talking about the grand final in 2009, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Also, so yeah, take it away. Why is it number one? As obvious as it is, once again, why is it?
Well, we've already pointed out that that 2010 one was the last grand final that my club has been in to try and win the ultimate prize.
Yeah.
The year before was undoubtedly since '66 their best opportunity, taking out pre-season cups and all that sort of stuff. This is what you play for, right? So um, we lost the prelim final, so the year before
That was
in
the
our lot.
year. 2009 was the year you only lost one or two games
Two,
all season. I think, right?
yeah,
Two. Yeah.
by a margin of I think 12 points by the end.
Yeah.
So we were ultra competitive and really almost unstoppable.
You
Um,
basically walked your way to the Premier's play, basically, didn't you, that season?
pretty much, including
Yeah.
the mid-season game against Geelong where both sides were 14-0, and we just beat them on the day. And that's still, and I've probably mentioned this to you as well, Chester, the biggest Marvel AFL home and away crowd ever. So
Oh
I think it
wow.
was 54,000.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
pretty amazing. So yeah, so we lost two games in the back end. I think in the last couple of rounds of that season, pretty
Oh,
close.
so it
Yeah,
wasn't even midway through. So
no,
basically, you lost games after you basically wrapped up the Premier's play,
mm,
essentially. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That's
We
incredible.
yeah we played a game in Launceston against Hawthorn with basically a B squad, more or less.
What?
We rested.
Oh no, lost. Oh, that
No,
was like at the end of the. Yeah.
no,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, we won that game, but we lost two
Oh wow.
others. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we took a B squad to Tassie and we still won.
Wow.
But the good thing about this game is, and like some of the guys who played in that game are on the Saints coaching staff now. So, yeah,
Oh,
Brendan
okay.
Goddard's the new VFL coach for next year. Lenny Hayes is an assistant. Farron Ray, um, Jason Blake's a board member. Nick Del Santo's the AFLW women's team coach. So yeah, um, it's great that the club's still got that connection. I guess for all the wrong reasons, but
Yeah.
I was at the club on Tuesday, and if I wanted to, I could have walked past that one solitary Premiership Cup, but I didn't. I was too depressed. I just wanted to get my stuff organised and walk out of there. So, but I do like going back there. They've got open training the pre-Christmas, I think, in a couple of weeks. So I'll be down there. So looking forward to that. But yeah, this particular game I had to pick as number one, and I'm sure Chester you can appreciate why I've
Yeah.
got it as number one. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that, and I sort of think about this as Arsenal going undefeated in what 02 or whatever it was, whichever season, 03 maybe.
2003,
That's the
2004.
one. This was as close as I think we'll ever get to that.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to back up a lot of United fans here because a lot of other fans, or Arsenal fans, love to talk it up. And look, don't get me wrong, it's still an amazing achievement. But that particular season, did you draw 12 games in the league?
No,
And did you? I mean, there's no other cup competitions, I guess, in the AFL. But like,
no.
yes, it's incredible to go unbeaten in a season and all, but it's far and away not the most impressive title win in the Premier League history. Anyway, they drew 12 times that season. Let's not forget about that. They weren't even top at New Year's. We were actually top at New Year's,
Right.
and they basically bombed out of the Champions League and the FA Cup and the League Cup at all relatively early or middling stages as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you know, not to drag on about that too long, but yeah, it's impressive, but it's not the best there's ever been. But no, anyway, continue. Yeah,
No.
you had a very good season. You walked home the Premier's play. I
Mm,
think you've said before, didn't you say? I think you reckon that was Nick Revolt's best ever season, right?
without a doubt, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, he was well held in the game itself. But the week before, he literally won the game for us off our own boot. You've heard me talk about
yeah.
that final the week before against the Bulldogs where he kicks the goal to put us further ahead and basically ice it with 90 seconds left, and I could not watch it for that rest of that 90 seconds. That's how tense it was. This was not as bad, but still very tense for obvious reasons, given what was at stake. The weather was terrible. It was raining most of the day, but just to sort of break it down quickly, we were up by 2 points at quarter time.
And you're looking at it going like, oh my god, we could do it. This could
Yeah,
be it.
seven goals apiece at half time. We're up by a goal.
Was it Collingwood?
Geelong.
Geelong, sorry,
Yeah,
I said Geelong. Yeah.
yeah. In front of 99,251 fans, I might add. So
Jeez, that's incredible.
yeah,
Almost 100,000 were there.
I
Wow.
think they got 100 the year after. So
MCG got packed, same. Wow.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I had a ticket through the club, not the MCC as well, so I didn't have to
Yeah.
queue up. But yeah, so um, very twisted. Yeah, and we were inaccurate at that point as well. Yeah, 7-7. We could have easily been in front by another couple of goals, but 9-11, 65 to 58. So we're up by 7 points going into the last quarter, and we lost
Yeah.
by 12. Although I will point out that that comes with an asterisk because the last goal that Geelong kicked after the siren, there was no Saints players on the line to spoil it, so they actually got another goal. So technically it was 6. You'll hear me say
Oh,
technically when it comes to my club and moral victory and things like this a lot on this podcast because that's the way I roll. So
the count back.
yeah, exactly. Count back protest of 1913 grand final result or whatever it was. Formal protest, informal protest. It's all here. So yeah, that was the game, and it was really disappointing because based on all the hard work we'd done to get there and how dominant we were, it was far and away our best chance to win it. So
Was that the game? Was that the game when that dude was basically like the ball was bouncing to him and he just let it bounce in
no,
front of him
that
or
was the
something instead of
no,
catching it?
that was the year before. However,
Oh,
Stephen Milne. However, he had there's video of this game where he's got an opportunity to sort of run in from a bit further out than the other guy we talked about in fourth spot or whatever it was.
yeah.
Where he actually dribbled it. Like I said, it had been raining during the morning and different parts during the game, so the ground was wet. He decided to sort of try and dribble it through instead of taking a drop punt, and the ball actually sat in the goal square for no score. I can't exactly remember what part of the game it was. It was in the second quarter, I think, because
Yeah.
we kicked two goals to hit the front right at the end of that quarter. One of them was the umpire giving us a goal in the goal square because one of the Geelong defenders was mouthing off, and the umpire didn't like that. So got us back in the game. But yeah, that was a sort of a similar moment. So
Yeah.
not ideal.
But yeah, the on that grand final course, the worst ever game that you've seen Saints play live in your history of being a Saints supporter, and you've been watching them play. So what year was your first game you ever went to?
I'd probably say early 90s.
Yeah, so a long time, people. For those of you, yeah, a long time. Like probably what we're looking at over 30 years potentially,
Yeah.
aren't we? Yeah, early '90s, definitely over 30 years. Because you literally mentioned a '95 game in this list, and that wasn't even your first. So that would have been 30 years ago now, anyway. So yeah, um, yeah. So that was the list. I think most Saints fans, as you said, will agree that one and two being the worst, unless we're going back further. Obviously, you didn't watch your team play in the '80s, but I can imagine from what you've told me, there was probably some shocking games
Yeah.
in the
There
'80s.
were. There certainly were. And I haven't even, and I'll mention this now because it's just so hilarious. I haven't even mentioned the debacle that was the preseason game in Wangaratta
It's because
we
it's
had we where
pre-season.
we had to play basically an intra-club game against ourselves because the Essendon players decided to fly over and got stranded. So there's that too. But that's for another episode of you know.
Yeah. Funny AFL things. And another thing you didn't mention, which I'll just quickly point out there because I can't remember what game it's in, but I can't remember if it was in that final or not. That famous game where you told me they kicked it, it hit the post clearly,
Mm,
but they still gave the goal or
that's the same
something.
game. Yeah, that's
Oh,
yeah.
that's the final.
Yeah, that's the '09 final. Yeah, so that
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up because I
yeah,
wiped it from my memory many
yeah.
a
Because I've
weeks later.
seen you show me that clip. Geelong player kicks it, and you said the
Yeah,
rule is if it hits the post at all, it doesn't count.
yeah.
Or no, is it 1 point
Yeah,
rather
one.
than
Yeah,
something like?
and to make matters worse, they've brought in that technology now. So
Oh, okay,
you
yeah.
know,
Hotspot
what can you
basically.
do?
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that wraps up. That just about wraps up Ben's list of the six worst games he's seen as a Saints fan live. We will probably come back at some point and we'll do another tea break episode where we do the six worst United games I've watched on TV. Because trust me, in recent years, there's a hell of a lot I could probably pick from. Um, there's no doubt about that. It probably won't be anything pre 2013 because, believe it or not, we were actually quite good when Sir Alex Ferguson was our manager, and there wasn't much to comment on. But recently, there's definitely more than enough for me to pick from for a top six. So that might even be a challenge for me to narrow down, let alone the fact that we've got more than enough. So yeah, look forward to that one when we do it, people. We've got a lot of content coming out soon. We've got a bit of a hectic schedule coming out over Christmas. My partner and I might be heading up to Queensland most likely to see her parents in the coming weeks. And we'll be gone for 2 weeks or so around Christmas if we head up there. So with that being said, we're going to start pre-recording a bunch of episodes and so on, especially across next week. So we've still got content for you guys over that festive period, and that will lead into the fact that I will say if we do get up there, basically, there is going to be 1 week that we will have to miss when it comes to a Bundesliga and A-League review. That'll be the week of the 22nd and so on of December, because, if we get up there for the what time we're planning to go up there, we will be in, my partner and I will be up in Queensland at that time, so with no way of feasibly recording because I'm not going to lug my whole desktop and mic and everything up there for obvious reasons. Um, but we are going to pre-record a couple of tea break episodes regardless, so we will still have content in and around the festive period, but there will be a week or so that we won't be able to bring a Bundesliga A-League review. But next week we'll still have one for you, and we'll be able to squeeze one more out the week after as well, because if we're going, we're trying to fly around the 16th. So if it's on the 15th, we'll still be able. So 2 more weeks of reviews we'll still be able to get out, but the one after we will miss. And the A-League's going to be a bit weird around then as well, people, anyway, because there's going to be games a lot more frequently. The Bundesliga is going to be on winter break, so it may be a bit weird with the reviews around Christmas regardless anyway. So, apologies for that, but, we're still going to get content out. Don't forget the Big Bash as well, of course. It starts next week, in fact, so we will have that Big Bash preview coming out next week for you people before that starts, so look forward to that as well.
Definitely.
And whatever goes on with the Ashes content, most likely if we are going to do a live stream, At this point, it's going to be most likely the SCG test. So yeah, it won't be till the end of the season series, but we're still going to try and get at least one more live stream in for you people. Obviously, we came up with the idea of doing one for this test, but it doesn't look like we'll be able to do one for this one. But either way, we'll still try and get one most likely for the SCG test because hectic festive period, it's probably going to be easy to organise it when we're back in January and things are a little more calm and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, enough of my rambling. Yeah,
Yeah. If you got,
hope you guys. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, guys, if you've enjoyed my you know, my pain today, reminiscing through all those moments, like and subscribe and
yeah,
throw us a follow on
yeah,
Instagram and I'm sure in the episodes, as I said, we've got some great lists and so forth to come in the next couple of weeks. So we're looking forward to bringing you guys that as well.
yeah. So yeah, keep tuned, people. We're going to have a lot of content coming over the next few weeks, so look out for that. And we'll see. As for a normal schedule, we'll see you back on Monday for the next review. Of the A League and Bundesliga as we approach that winter break, and the A League really starts to take shape as well. So yeah, we'll be back on Monday with that, guys. But for now, peace out, take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See you guys.